You're listening to Me and Paranormal You with your host, Ryan Singer. It's more fun to believe. Third year bonus. Greetings and salutations, friends. Hey, how's everybody doing? This is your buddy Ryan Singer. Thank you for listening to another episode of Me and Paranormal You. This is the 9-year anniversary episode, I believe. 2014. I think it was 2014. I mean, if this is the 10-year anniversary and not the 9-year anniversary, I mean, color me a fool. Color me foolish. But I'm pretty sure we launched on the 29th of January 2014 on a supermoon. We do not have a supermoon as I'm recording this. I haven't done a 30-year bonus in quite a while. But I have to tell you, I'm excited to do this one. I've got information. We've got recaps. We've got, maybe I'll throw some clips in from some audio from some recent stuff. I don't know where this road is going to go. So, the last episode that I put up, which was as an update from Mutilation Ranch, from the project tentatively entitled Friends in the Sky, that Ed Brown, Dan Lindholm, myself, Greg Feynman, Mama Sue Gutierrez, we were all there. We were out at Tom Miller's Mutilation Ranch, somewhere outside Trinidad, Colorado. I got to tell you, it was fascinating being on the property. It was great to meet Tom Miller, the rancher who has experienced over the years. His family has been on that ranch since, I think, the earlier mid-1940s. So he spent his entire life there. 16 cattle mutilations. That doesn't mean that only 16 cows have ever died on the property. That means that, of all the cows that have died, 16 of them can be classified as cattle mutilations or UBDs, unusual bovine deaths, with the same characteristics in all 16. Roughly, the draining of blood, specific internal organs are missing, precision-like cuts, broken bones of the cattle as if they fell from a high distance. Just strange stuff. And when you're out on the property, it's weird. I mean, I was there during the daytime. I was also there during the nighttime. Feels strange to be out there. Not that it feels strange as much as there's an energy there. And there's a specific part of the property, 1,400 acres, that has a lot of unusual activity. We've covered a lot of that on, and initially I thought I was just going to put all of the Greg and Mama Sue episodes together and release them as one giant big episode. But that's like, 6 hours. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to sit down and listen to 6. I mean, maybe they will. So maybe I should do that still. Maybe I'll package that together. Now that I'm getting settled back in on the West Coast, I'm back out here for the most part. I mean, that is where I will be and shall be located. Once again. I've just been kind of on the float for so long. Well, not so long, but I mean, I guess in life in general, but also recently. But there's an energy out here at Mutilation Ranch that is strange, yet quite familiar to me. What that means is it feels very much the same as the property in Florida. It was, I found myself helping film this documentary. I didn't spearhead the project. Then suddenly I found myself at night in very dark conditions out in the woods without realizing I was going to be doing that. It's not that I didn't realize I was going to be doing it. It's just I didn't think about it. Next thing you know, I'm there. We're driving this 4-wheel drive Jeep through all this really bumpy, icy, ton of snow conditions. Just kind of going off the grid. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm doing this. I haven't been out in the wilderness doing an investigation since, especially at night, I should say, since my experience, which was nearly 3 years ago, which seems like a long time all of a sudden, even though it still feels like yesterday in many regards. So we were out there, and I got to tell you, I was just kind of documenting. I wasn't participating necessarily in the investigation for the most part. I was trying to be an observer, filming, etc. I did witness some things that were quite remarkable, and I don't want to spoil it. It's not my place to give away a bunch of information, but we went out there at night, and I mean, it felt like we were all getting frostbitten. It was so bitterly cold. We went the next day to check on some results of like the apple gifting and things like that. And I got to tell you, I was shocked. Shocked, but not surprised by some of the results we witnessed the next day. That night, we heard, Ed Brown and I heard a noise from across the river. And immediately the camera malfunctions without us realizing it, right before the noise can be picked up. I mean, it's just like, are you kidding me? Is this happening every single time? And any paranormal investigator or researcher will tell you that once you're out in the field, technical difficulties are not only to be somewhat anticipated, but they are to be, in fact, quite expected at the most untimely of moments. And it just seems like such a great cop-out for those of us who love and believe in the paranormal and know it to be reality and normal, to say that the moments that are very, very compelling, and not all of them, but oftentimes these very, very compelling moments cannot be captured because of a technical difficulty, of a malfunction of equipment. And for the skeptic, for the non-believer, they would be easy just to be like, oh, that go figures. Isn't that? Well, what an interesting coincidence. And for those of us who have been out in the woods at night or been in the houses, in the dark and all that kind of stuff, you just, it's just part of the thing. It's part of the thing. That's right. Thank you, old man who sounded like he might be dying. Hey, I'm not dying. No, you sound ill. Okay. Take some Metamucil and call me in the morning. Is that what? I think Metamucil so you can have solid poops. Anyway, so it was nice to be back out in the woods at night. I got to tell you, it was exhilarating. Now, it's a little bit different because it was not the location. I was planning on already having been back in Florida by this time. 2023, wow. But due to some, personal health issues and things like that of that, I don't need to get into the details. We couldn't make that happen. But we are still planning on doing that and getting back down to Florida and trying to find some answers. I don't know if you've realized, but the paranormal has become slowly but surely very normal, at least when it comes to pop culture programming, Twitter trends, etc. And I'm sure that's catered to my every day. I'll get on the internet and I'll be like, wow, UFOs are trending again. It's like, well, maybe because you look at all this stuff constantly and it's catered to you. But it does seem like it's ever present everywhere. It's becoming more and more mainstream, and I think that's a good thing. That doesn't mean our favorite band has gone mainstream and sold out. It just means that more and more people are aware. I mean, there's probably 1 million paranormal podcasts now. I'm glad that you're listening to this one still, or for the first time. Part of my goal for 2023 is to, I don't want to say crystallize, but or centralize or specify specific threads that I want to pull on and research and go deeper into rabbit holes of a bigger, deeper rabbit hole as opposed to a bunch of mini rabbit holes. I think that's where this might be going. And I looked at the clock and it's 11:11 while I was recording it. So that must be what I'm supposed to do. So we're going to go with that. One of them being idealism and how consciousness connects everything, including all paranormal phenomena. I think we're going to dive deeper into that. We're going to dive deeper into Hermeticism, and we're going to dive deeper into how Hermeticism helps us understand idealism and therefore measure paranormal activity. And I get these great little newsletters. If you're a member of the Theosophical Society, you get Quest magazine. It's great. There's all kinds of cool stuff in there. You don't really get anything for being a member of ASPR, which is the American Society for Psychical Research, but it is cool to say you're a member of ASPR. So I'm not going to say you shouldn't do that, because, I mean, every little bit of money that's donated helps them digitize the archives, etc., and all kinds of things. I got my buddy Sarah helping me book guests, by the way. And we've got some really fun interviews coming up now that I'm going to be here very, very near term, set up in a more fixed location where I can start doing that again. But I think the key here is, pushing boundaries, right? And that's the thing that I think scares me the most when it comes to, trying to understand phenomena. And I don't think that's the craziest thing to say, that we all are afraid of pushing our own personal boundaries. I've done a pretty decent job over the course of at least my adult life, of pushing my own boundaries, making myself feel slightly uncomfortable, to try to gain insights into who I am as a person, and maybe try to better understand the secrets of the universe. And it comes with, and I've paid the price on that, a couple times, of having the daylight scared out of me and the negative effects that come with that long term or short term. Shirt term? Yeah, short term. Long sleeve or short sleeve shirt term. So basically what I'm getting at is this current project, Mutilation Ranch, Friends in the Sky, it's pushing my personal boundaries in ways that aren't necessarily paranormal, but I suppose they are. They're more spiritual. And I remember when I was younger, the phrase, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, was first kind of being used. And now I think when you say it, people kind of are like, okay, I'm so over this. And you see the representation of a spiritual person oftentimes portrayed in pop culture in such negative ways. I was watching a movie last night, which was very good, Glass Onion, Knives Out. And one of the main characters was, crystals and all this kind of shit, but just an awful person. And there are these, I don't want to call them, it just seems like such a cop-out to call someone a trust fund baby, but, you got all these, rich people who are like, I'm into spirituality, crystals in the universe and everything. That's all you need. And it's like, well, is it all you need when you've never had to worry about money your entire life or your own personal security? when it comes to that hierarchy of needs. I'm not real sure. I know I struggle with this myself because, I don't come from, quote unquote, the streets, yet I don't come from the country club either. And, the big thing I struggle with is like, okay, well, are you of service enough? And, when you're trying to maintain your own survival, it's difficult to think about service of others, even though, in fact, that's, probably the best time to do it. So how can I improve in that way? I do spend a lot of time thinking about that. But when it comes to being spiritual and not religious, I mean, I definitely fall into that camp. I mean, I believe in, I believe in the magic of the universe, and I believe in the goodness. And if we label that spiritual or spirituality, I'm fine with that. However, I am not religious at all. I've gone through those phases. Not only am I not religious, I'm very adverse to it. And I know that if someone starts speaking specifically Christian beliefs to me, I shut down. I just want no part of that conversation. I'm not interested in any way, shape, or form about any of that garbage, right? It's how I would, that's like aggressive shutdown me language. Now, that's not to say that, there are many, many people out there who use Christianity to lead good lives out there, because certainly that is the case. I'm not interested in it. I don't believe in the quote unquote fairy tales of that specific religion. I was raised on all of that, and I've moved away from it. And I'm aware of the amalgamation of stories and characters and things like that in the Bible, which come from older stories. Cut, copy, and paste. To me, Christianity is cut, copy, and paste from older belief systems. But here's the problem. If the message of a story, regardless of the characters or the locations or the specific actions and details of the story, differ, but the message, the truth of what's being conveyed through the different stories is the same, why be so adverse to it? Everything adapts and changes to be better understood by those who are listening to the story at whatever particular moment in time they may be listening. In the future, Jesus could be a robot. You know what I mean? The Bible could be something else, but it could be filled with robots and humans and things like that, as opposed to angels and demons. And so these stories change, and we can already see the stories changing. And this is a common conversation, and a very fascinating conversation in the world of the paranormal and folklore and mythology when it comes to, our angels and fairies, now aliens. The same energies, just with new personalities to be better understood according to the changes in society and cultures around us that are presently understandable or more relatable. That's where it gets interesting. And that's, I think, the key to me not shutting down, is trying to understand what's at the heart of this, right? We're going to get more into that here in a minute. But let's take a quick moment to, try to keep the cell phone on. All episodes are commercial free at patreon.com/Ryan Singer. 9 years old. Wow. The show's 9 years old. Patreon.com/Ryan Singer. Thank you to all the patrons who are over there. You get these episodes ad-free for $3 a month. And I'm going to be putting some exclusive video content from my time at Mutilation Ranch, among other things, over on the Patreon page. That Ed Brown has told me we can do that over here on the Patreon page, which we kind of hinted at in the last episode. So last week. So yeah, we're going to do that. Patreon.com/Ryan Singer. And we're back. Welcome back from that, unfortunate moment of capitalism that invaded our lives. I think when it comes to the stories of religions and the stories of modern day ufology, we must understand that there are many parallels. We can't expect the aliens to save us. I mean, we're all looking for an outside savior, I think, at some point, as opposed to taking the onus on ourselves to make changes and make the world better. Some people have more of a luxury to be able to do that than others, because other people are more directly affected in everyday life by the things that are holding them back or are, fighting against them. You don't have to look past, the evening news to understand that there are groups of people in the world, and specifically in the United States, which are struggling against these darker forces on a regular basis. And just because, you're not struggling, or you don't have to struggle against those, doesn't mean you're a bad person, right? Oftentimes you'll hear the argument like, I've never been helped by the, it's just like, well, I heard it, someone said it in such a great way. It doesn't mean that you've been given the advantage and given opportunities as much as it means you haven't been hindered. You haven't been actively hindered by the system, as opposed to the system just offering you new opportunities every week that you can take. I mean, there is still some merit, or meritocracy. There is still some work to be done. You ever notice how really, the really bad people on TV shows and movies, they're just always up really early in the morning and they don't sleep very much? I think that should tell us something. The real go-getters. I mean, all the villains in movies and TV shows they're real go-getters. And it makes you wonder, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you need to be hanging out with more people who sleep in. They're probably better people. At least, if we were defining any of this stuff by character traits of movies and television, which is not real life. So let's relax. Anyway, the commonalities, the parallels between, ancient mythology and current ufology or religions, it is very, many people think the world is ending. I am not a doomsday guy. I used to be. When I was wrapped up in religion, I was a doomsday guy. I just can't. I won't go back to doomsday guy. I can't do it. There is no light inside the darkness of doomsday. And some people might say that's being irresponsibly optimistic, and I would say to them, wow, you can't. Why do you get up in the morning then, if everything is so? That's the catch. Or we all probably know someone who is overly darkly doomsday viewpoint. So why do they get up in the morning? If there really is no hope for tomorrow, if there really is nothing to look forward to, if there really is no chance to turn the ship around from whatever doomsday direction we are headed, why are you still here, right? I mean, and is there? It has to be something more than just survival instinct. Although that's a very powerful driving force in our lives, I just feel like there has to be something more, right? And much in the same way, there has to be the tiniest little spark of hope or optimism that something good can happen. Much in the same way that someone like me who's overly optimistic or makes a conscious choice and a decision to be so, I also have the tiniest spark of darkness where I understand that we could all be screwed, and there could be no chance and no hope. That exists. I just don't fuel that one. I don't give oxygen to that flame. I give oxygen to the flame of hope and optimism instead. At least most times. I mean, sometimes I don't. We're all just people here. But then you have moments, right? That can be surreal, not necessarily spiritual or mystical moments of, watershed moments, life-changing necessarily. I think that is a big part of belief in paranormal experiences. Usually they really do transform a person. I'm kind of just now thinking of this as I say, but I was transformed by multiple paranormal experiences. I have emerged from the fire of those experiences misshapen, different, better / worse. Who knows? I don't think that comes into play necessarily. They have changed me. I am no longer the person I was before those experiences. For better or for worse. And again, I don't think that even has to be even part of the measurement equation, better or worse. So I'm in the mountains, kind of, the other day. And it'd been a while since I used to, when I lived in my old apartment in Los Angeles, I was constantly going to the Verdugo Hills and hiking, 4 times a week at least. And, I wouldn't shut up about the mountain. But once the pandemic happened, I would still do that. But then slowly but surely, I just started vaping and smoking and dipping and, just got out of shape. And anyway, so I'm back out in nature the other day. And I'm overwhelmed. I'm having a borderline spiritual experience as I'm surrounded by the beauty of nature and realizing how much I miss it. Emotionally, I am coming unraveled as I slowly walk up the incline of this hill / mountain. There's a hawk in the air that I had passed moments before that found one of those, I don't know, it's like an air geyser or something, and you see the geysers of water, but this is like an air geyser, like a wind pillar. And it just has its wings spread out and it's essentially still in the sky. And it's just kind of sitting there, even though it's flying, but it's frozen in the sky. Myself and others are kind of dumbfounded, just standing there with our heads bent back looking at this and just being like, wow, how cool is that? How beautiful, how amazing, how seemingly unexplainable. So then I continue on walking, and then that's when the unraveling really starts happening. And maybe it's because of how much I miss nature and how much I needed that moment. Maybe it's because of all these different emotional things that have been building up in me over the last, 9-10 months. All the different changes that I've gone through, all the hard times, all the good times. Or maybe it's because Songbird by Fleetwood Mac is in my headphones. And it might be about 70% Songbird, 30% everything else. But I'm just like, man, I'm just going to cry here. I'm just going to cry here on the mountain, man. I'm just going to cry. And it was probably mostly Songbird, but nonetheless, there's been a lot of things in all of our lives recently in the last year or so, and, mine included. And, and it's a lot to process, and not to mention the idea of getting older and, wow, okay, the slow march towards death is seems to be quickening its pace. What does that mean for me? What are the things I've missed? What are the things I've lost? What are the things I can no longer have because of this part of my life I've entered? And I'm just like, holy shit. I'm going to be part of this mountain soon. And I'm having this dramatic moment where I'm like, I'm going to be part of the mountain. My bones will be steps for future travelers to better grip their toes or heels, whether they ascend or descend this rocky terrain. Anyway, I felt like Trip Coltrane was as I'm coming out and realize that my bones are part of the mountain just as much as the mountain is part of my bones. But it's like this spiritual moment, right? Where, one thing can happen. Nothing like forced it to happen, but it is this moment where you realize that there's beauty in the world and that there's something more. There's this energy, there's this life, there's this spirit, there's something other than just I breathe, my heart beats, I blink involuntarily, blood circulates through my body, I am a physical creature, nothing more. There's something more. And this search for trying to understand what the something more is what has led us, many of us, down these paths of seeking and trying to understand. And then when you have experiences that are more than just, natural beauty kind of overwhelming us, when you have something that is unexplainable, something that is paranormal, mystical, supernatural, or other that you witness or that happens to you, now you kind of go into a tailspin. You don't understand. And now confusion sets in a way that is different than not understanding how a hawk can stay frozen in the sky. This confusion is deeper. It's more prevalent. It's how can the world say that these things are not real when in fact I've seen them or heard them, felt them, experienced them? And why does the world think that they're not real? What purpose does it serve for the world to not acknowledge the seemingly supernatural as natural? Is it nefarious, or is it just something much more simple than that? I don't know. I lean to something much more simple. Many people in the world of the paranormal and conspiracy theories, they lean toward nefarious. Is it because the people in power do not want us to understand our abilities, our inherent godliness? That we all are supernatural, at least as it is defined for us now. I don't have the answer to that. But when these moments happen and they send us on journeys of seeking information and knowledge, oftentimes we find other people who are on that path. And if you're listening to this podcast, I imagine that you're one of these people that is on that path. But rest assured, and I know, and we have known the whole time, whether we knew it or not, that we are supernatural. All of us are paranormal. Many people will tell you that if everyone is special, then no one is special. I disagree. That's a hard disagree from me on that. Being special does not rely on the abundance of specialness otherwise. Special is not a finite resource. For some reason, we've been led to believe that being special is a finite resource, when in fact it is not. Water and air are two of the most important things in the world for our survival. They are quite abundant, yet they are the most special things. Does that make sense? I think it does. So you are on this path. You are on this journey. You are seeking answers. You are seeking information. If nothing else, maybe you find it entertaining. If nothing else, maybe it just engages your mind in a way you enjoy. Maybe it's a curiosity that you have. Maybe there's satisfaction that comes from reading or listening to or watching stories of the paranormal, because you know and you understand inherently, deep down, without even having to make a note of it, the oldest stories that are the most fascinating, that have gripped human imagination since the beginning of time, have been stories of the paranormal. Jesus is the oldest ghost story ever told that has, garnered such a following. It's definitely not the oldest ghost story ever told. But the following that this ghost has is incredible in the way it's been perverted and distorted and everything else. But Jesus was a ghost. The Epic of Gilgamesh. Paranormal elements to that story. Shape-shifting. Paranormal stories are human stories. Visitors from space. They are here. I do believe that. UFOlogists are no longer kooks. People who believe in Bigfoot. More and more people are telling me about their interest and love of Bigfoot that they've had for years. These are people that I've known for a long time. More and more of them are telling me how much they love Bigfoot stuff. Will we ever find Bigfoot? Oma, Sasquatch? I don't know. Are all of these characters tied into a doomsday play that is unfolding in front of us? I don't know. I'd like to think not. Some people do believe that. Can we expect saviors outside of ourselves to come in and rescue us in the 11th hour? I don't think we can, and I think that's irresponsible. Maybe irresponsible is too strong of a word. I think it's foolhardy. Is that a word I should use? Like it's the 1940s? I think it's foolhardy to believe that the aliens are the ones responsible for saving us when we can do it ourselves. It is foolhardy, indeed. I got to tell you, spending time in locations that are notoriously active for unexplainable or paranormal activity is exhilarating. Not everybody gets to do it, and I understand, that it is a privilege, and it makes me quite lucky to be able to make some of these trips I make. But that's not to say that the entirety of the world doesn't have locations. That no matter where you live or where you go, there's one thing I've learned through my travels and through my nearly 675 or 700 conversations over the last 9 years. There is paranormal stuff happening everywhere, and you can find it anywhere. And if you live somewhere and you are interested in the paranormal, you already know this. You already probably know 4 or 5 locations off the top of your head in your town, regardless of how big or small it is, that are haunted. I mean, Mason City, Illinois is a great example. The town is no more than 3,000 people, I think. I can think of at least 2 locations that are supposedly haunted. I mean, it's everywhere. And lovers of the paranormal are everywhere because I think everyone, for the most part, unless you're one of those people that, you know, you think you're so smart, so nothing is good, right? Like these people who are so, they're so consumed or obsessed with their own idea of what it means to be, how intelligent they are. Does that make sense? Like, these people who just think they're so smart that they have the answer to everything, and hardcore skeptics. It's usually a hardcore skeptical person who's like, I'm so smart. They talk about James Randi a bunch. They probably have a James Randi tattoo. They like to throw around things like, well, the $1 Million Challenge has never been completed, or things like that. These people who are no fun to be around, who are, for some reason, they've had the joy and the curiosity squashed from their imagination. And I don't know what happened, and I'm guessing it probably isn't a great story to hear. And when I say great story to hear, I don't mean like they're not good at telling stories. I mean, it's probably something sad. And so instead of coming down hard on these people, I should try to show some empathy and compassion, because I'm sure it's a sad story that squashed all of their joy, curiosity from their imagination. But it's usually those people who will tell you that it's all bunk and that it's all a waste of time, and you're a fool, and you're childish. You're childish. You're stupid. You're a stupid child because you're into this stuff. Those people have no joy. And, I think their only satisfaction comes from squashing the joy of others. And that is mostly the skeptical world, what I'm describing. I mean, you'll notice that. I mean, it's not a coincidence that those things go hand in hand. Being intensely skeptical and having no joy in one's life. And it's sad. It really is. I do feel badly for those people. Because, I mean, who doesn't love Bigfoot? I mean, you're going to tell me you don't love the idea of Bigfoot running around? You're going to sit here and tell me that you find no joy in the idea of Bigfoot running around? You're going to tell me right here today in the year 2023 that there is absolutely nothing about the idea of Sasquatch all over the world hiding undetected for all of these years that doesn't tickle you a little bit, that doesn't make you smile, that gives you no spark? You're going to tell me that? Are you seriously? Okay. You're going to tell me that the idea that Mothman isn't real? You're going to tell me the idea? Are you going to sit here? Are you going to honestly send me a fax like it's 1994? Are you going to send me a handwritten letter? Are you going to email me that there is absolutely no joy to be found anywhere? There's no entertainment, there's no pleasure, there's no excitement, and just having even the smallest percentage of your brain be open to the idea that Mothman is real? Are you going to tell me that? Or are you just going to sit here and bitch and moan about everything and about how the world's screwed and there's no hope? Everything sucks. Nobody's good. Nobody's as good as what you are at that thing. You just happen to be the best at everything in the world. You just happen to be a better singer than so-and-so. You happen to be a better comedian than this person. You happen to be a better actor than this other person. No one makes a good sandwich like you do. No one understands how to drive as good as you. That's how you're going to live your life? No one's as smart as you are. No one gets it the way you do. Except other people who also get it. But even they don't get it the same way you get it. Because you're smarter than them. Even though they think they're smarter than you. But that's the tie that binds you. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to live our lives. Not me. I'm going to be over here hanging out with the idea of Mothman and Bigfoot, okay? I'm going to be over here talking about how I dated a woman who could shapeshift many years ago. I'm going to be over here having to sleep with my lights on for almost a year and a half because I had the daylight scared out of me on a paranormal investigation in Florida. That's what I'm going to be doing. And meanwhile, even though I'm terrified, I'll be smiling. Most of the time. I guess I'm not going to play any clips because I'm just going to keep talking. I just kept talking this whole time. Just kept talking. Got some fun interviews coming up, though. That's for sure. I will give you a little teaser here. Mutilation Ranch. If you go back and listen to all the interviews with Greg and Mama Sue, I don't know when the documentary series is going to be out, but those things take a long time to go through all the footage, edit together, make sure it looks good and all that kind of stuff. But being out there in Colorado was fascinating. And, you know, we had more than a few experiences that we weren't even trying to have that just happened to us while we were there just trying to document the story in video form. And I may have caught video of this thing. I mean, Mama Sue was, you know, about to be attacked by something while we were all at Greg's house. And it was a scary moment. And I will tell you this, I didn't sleep. I slept in Greg's house the whole time I was there. Didn't exactly sleep really well. Had a hard time falling asleep because everybody else falls asleep before me. That's just the way it goes. Everyone else falls asleep before me. And I just lie awake. And then for some reason, my ears turn up. You know, my ears become, you know, parabolic microphones where they hear everything from 2 miles away. And God, I you know, and if you've ever heard an ice maker and a freezer go off at 3:15 in the morning when it hadn't gone off all week before, it really just sounds like a mean ghost is kind of knocking at the door not far away from you. And it's not enjoyable. I don't like it. You know, one of those ghosts that like seem to be wet, like they're dripping wet for some reason. It's like, you're a ghost. Why are you wet? Like, is there a ghost water, like a swamp where certain ghosts hang out who are just nasty ghosts? And they're like wet, and like their hair's wet, you know, like in The Ring, I guess, kind of. But their nails are dirty. It's like, why are your nails so dirty? It's because you dug it out of the grave. But like, you're a spirit. That's your body. It's your body. Why am I talking? It's your body, not your spirit. It's your body, not your spirit. It's my Aunt Joni from Rochester. It's your body. But you're a spirit. Why do you have dirty fingernails? You're not in corporal form. You shouldn't have dirt underneath your fingernails. You're a spirit. Why are they so long and pointed? Are you filing them? Like, I guess when you're a spirit, you never need to sleep or eat, so you've got a lot of time. So you're filing your nails into like long points, but you're gonna file your nails, but you're not gonna clean them. They're just gonna be dirty. Oh, and you're wet with these long, dirty, pointed nails, and your clothes have holes in them. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, what? It's because, why are you wearing clothes? You're a spirit. These are just some of the problems I have with ice makers going off at 3:15 in the morning when everyone else is asleep. And that's the image that I conjure. It's just this dirty, like, it's like, why do you even have teeth that are rotted? Like, You're not eating anything. You're a spirit. You don't have a digestive system. It just pisses me off that I get so scared. It just pisses me off. Anyway, trying to understand the UBDs or the cattle mutilations it's difficult. And Greg has kind of lined out the reasoning for a lot of this in our interviews, so you can go back and listen to that. It's, if you're a rancher and you've had 16 cattle mutilations on your property, and there are people out there in the paranormal world who will tell you that these are all staged, that these are all fake to make it look like aliens because of a great false flag operation that's going to be happening. I'm not on board with that. And I also don't have any information or any insider knowledge of any of that. So that's not to say that that couldn't be a thing that actually happened. I mean, it just seems like a lot, right? It seems like a lot. And also, you've just been doing this for 70 plus years, setting up the one day you do. It's like, keeping the chain of command and keeping, are people thinking that long term? Would you start a project that would not be finished until after you're dead, and you'd have to trust in other people to finish it? I mean, that's basically what this is, right? Because we've had abductions, we've had cattle mutilations for quite a long time. So what's the end game for these people that are going to be dead by the time it happens? What's their motivation? I don't know. Maybe one of these days we'll have a conversation with one of the people who believes this, and we'll see if, they can convince me that I need to open my mind to this idea more. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I wouldn't be willing to have the conversation. Of course I would. So if you love the paranormal, and I know you do, thank you for listening to this program. And I'm looking forward to another 9 years. I can't believe it. 9 years. Wow. It's been fun. It's been a wild ride, and it has changed my life. My life is so much more different than it was when I started this mindcast, and I can't even begin to explain the differences other than, wow, transformative. All the amazing people I've met over the years, all the incredible stories. People ask me oftentimes, do you think you've ever been taken for a ride? Do you ever think someone came on the program and totally BS'd you and made everything up? And just by sheer numbers, I'm sure there have been at least a couple people who have come on here and totally snowballed me. But I'm not going to sit here and bemoan the fact that someone took me for a ride. I mean, and I don't even know who those people might be. It's not like I have a list of a couple of people in my mind, like, oh, that person really flabbergasted me with their tomfoolery. What? No one talks like that. That sentence isn't even real. I mean, it's a real sentence because they said it, but it doesn't make any sense. That sentence doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I'm sure I've been taken for a ride, but you know what? I don't care, right? What am I going to do? So many incredible stories over the years. I mean, really opened my mind, my eyes, my ears to so many different things I never thought I'd get into. I look around now and I realize how many tarot decks I have and all the crystals and everything. I mean, I was always kind of into crystals, but now that I have a crystal app that I created with my cousins, Crystallize. You can go download that for free at the app stores. It's just, I'm making my documentary series. The next episode of The Bridge will be coming out soon. It's just been fascinating. And thank you for being along for the ride, even if you just jumped on. And I look forward to bringing you even more and better content in the future. So, give me a follow on all the social medias, etc., etc. Feel free to share this with your friends. And I hope to see you soon at a live stand-up comedy show out there somewhere. And if I don't, I'll just have to see you on the watering hole on the astral plane.